Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello and welcome. My name's Rebecca. I'm a knitter, knitwear designer, podcaster based in Edinburgh in Scotland, and this is like a vlog or a podcast all about knitting. What I'm currently knitting on, what I have been knitting on, and what I would like to be casting on in the not too distant future. I am back with a vengeance. I have had so much knitting mojo over the past few weeks. I've just been casting on like left, right and centre, and I am really excited to tell you all about what I've been working on. For the eagle-eyed people or eagle-eared people amongst you, you might have noticed there's a different intro song. Although whenever I'm watching podcasts and they're like, oh, people who watch will know I love XYZ or I hate ABC, I never know. I'm like, oh, do we know that? So maybe it's not noticeable. But I had some weird copyright claims in the past few weeks, and the music that I used to use was from a royalty-free website. It's now no longer on that website, and like I've disputed the claims and it's all been solved. But it was drama that I just don't want to deal with anymore. So I have just used a different song that's on the royalty-free website. And yeah, we're just changing things up a little bit. It'll be weird. I've not edited it yet, so I have a couple of songs to pick from, and I've not decided which song to pick yet, so hopefully I picked the right one. Or maybe we'll try a few over the next few episodes and I'll land on the one that I like. But what do I have today? I have no finished objects, but I do have a lot of works in progress. I've got one thing I showed last time. I feel like there must have been something. What else did I have on my needles last time? There was something that I have not worked on since last time and I don't know what it is, and I don't have it anymore with me. So I don't know what it was. But I have got one work in progress you saw before, 4 brand new cast-ons, and a little bit of future knitting to show. And I'm really excited, and I just want to knit all the things, and I want to have like 50 arms because I'm obsessed. I just want to be working on all these projects at the same time. So let me start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing one of my Tolsta t-shirt samples. I've been talking about this pattern for ages. I am just obsessed with this pattern. It was a really successful launch weekend. The pattern launched 2 weeks ago and was hugely popular, so a huge thank you if you supported the pattern in any way. I'm already seeing so many versions pop up, and yeah, it's just really nice. And every time I see a new one, somebody posted one with stripes and it's like a lilac with red stripes, or like a rusty red stripe, and I have not stopped thinking about it. So I will be casting on more. Like there is no way I will not be casting on more. But this is my sample in Woolyknit held double in like the off-white colour, and this is my eyelet version, so it's completely the pattern, and I've added eyelets every like 10 rows. And I'm wearing it without anything underneath. I think if you were paying attention you could see my bra, but it's like a white bra under a white t-shirt. Like you know, as long as I'm not like flashing a nipple, it's fine. So that's what I'm wearing. It is like perfect Tolsta weather here in Scotland. It is like, it's a bit overcast today, but it's about like 17-18 degrees Celsius, and I went for a big long walk on the beach the other day and wore my stripy Tolsta, and it was like perfect. So I have really been enjoying them, and I'm gonna be so like, it's gonna be such a good flow because I'm immediately gonna go into my first work in progress, which is another Tolsta. So I started this one ages ago, I feel, and then I've not worked on it in a few weeks, and I realised this morning, I went to pull it out to film, and I was like, oh, I need to do something about this. So let me talk about it. This one is all over texture. It's pretty similar to the one I'm wearing, but what I've done is I've done ridged eyelets, which is like, these are just eyelets with a yarn over and knit two together, and these are eyelets where you do a garter bump before and after the eyelet. So they're like, they stand out a bit more. And then I've also done a garter ridge, so you can see like in between those is a garter ridge. And I've done a picot neck, which isn't showing up very well. Did I show the picot version last time? I'll put a picture here of the lovely Jasmine, who has taken all the pictures for all my patterns. And she got married, and I made her a Tolsta to wear on her wedding day, which was so amazing, and it fit perfectly, which was the exciting thing. I talked about this last time for sure. I don't know if I showed any pictures because I'm not sure if I had her pictures, so I'll definitely put the one in. There's one that's got a really nice like cut of the arm and you can see the picot edging, and I loved it. I thought it looked so delicate and so beautiful. So I decided to do it here. So I've done the picot on the neck edge, I'm going to do picot on the sleeves. And my top tip, which I shared last time, is to do the picot, like this is a DK weight pattern, so it's 2 strands of Woolyknit cotton hill double. For the picot edging, I just use a single strand so that the picot doesn't end up bulky because you fold it over on itself. So you fold it over and I just whip stitch it down, and then the picot edge is 2 strands folded, which means that what are the words? The picot is double, like the picot edge is the same thickness because it's 2 bits of stranded single strand folded over as like a DK weight. I don't know if that's very clear, but that's what I'm going to go with. So that's where I'm at. I had Casas on and then hadn't touched it for ages, and then we went on the Jacobite train, which is the train that goes over the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which is basically the Hogwarts Express. Like it goes over the scene in Chamber of Secrets with the car, like going over that big bridge. That is the Glenfinnan Viaduct. So like we took the train that went across there. It was such a fun day. It was a really lovely, it was beautiful weather. And we like went up north and we stayed in a hotel, and then the tickets for the train were a Christmas present. If we finally booked them, and it was lovely. It was super nice, and I hadn't really had any knitting mojo, and I think we went on the day that I released the Tolsta. So like I woke up early in the hotel in the morning and I was like and then we got on this train all day, which is surreal. I seem to keep doing this. When I released the Cargill, we were in Dublin for a holiday, and my partner Sam was like, you have to start telling me, like we have to stop doing this. Because I just like, it's nice, it's actually really fun, it makes it a really exciting day, and I really remember the day very clearly because I will very clearly remember that day in Dublin. Because like I was on a high, I was on such a high all day. It was such a nice day, but I really distinctly remember it. I remember like checking the pattern release numbers in a pub, like the exact pub. Anyway, the same with this. So like I remember that the day the Tolsta came out was the day we were on the train. And so I was just like knitting up a storm. Like I hadn't really, that's when I kind of lost my mojo and I wasn't feeling really great about knitting, and like that's a bit of a funny place. And I mentioned last time, I was laid off from my previous job, which I was completely fine with. Like I was glad to go, but at the same time I was feeling a bit lost by the fact that I was no longer employed. And so I was like, oh, and then I went on and I just knit on this Tolsta like the whole day. And it was so nice. I flew through it because of course I did. It's DK weight and it flies up really quickly. And then on the way, it was actually kind of ridiculous because it's also like a 4.5 hour train back to Edinburgh. So we went up, stayed overnight. Sorry, this is a life update for one work in progress. We took the train up, we stayed overnight, we woke up, we took the train and the train back, like the fancy train, which is like the whole excursion. So it's like 2 hours out, 2 hours back, you get an hour and a half at the little place in Malig. It was beautiful. And then we came back to Fort William, and then we got on another train to come back to Edinburgh. So we spent like 9 hours on a train that day. It was worth it, it was beautiful. But on the train back, the train back from Fort William down to Edinburgh, well it's actually to Glasgow, and then we came across. It's a beautiful train journey, like it was amazing. I was feeling very like full of life that day. And the train conductor was like, oh, there was a woman, she's like, what are you knitting? And I was like, oh, is it gonna be a t-shirt? And I was like holding it up to show her, and then Sam's like, she designed it herself. This woman was like, no way. So it was so cute. I was like, yeah, like it's a pattern, I released it today. And she's like, that's amazing, you should be so proud. It's like, thank you, I am. It was so sweet. It was a very wholesome experience. So lots of good vibes from this is basically what I'm saying. The reason it's not finished yet is because I think I'm going to run out of yarn. So when I spoke to Woolyknit about, so Woolyknit sponsored the yarn that I designed the Tolsta in, so this version, and all of anyone in Woolyknit, they sent me the yarn for. So they sent me they sent me like a couple of cones, or like partial cones, and they were like, do some swatching, test this out, like, see what you think, and then let us know what colours you would like for the final pattern, and we'll send you those colours. And so they sent me some of like a partial cone in the apple green colour, which is beautiful. It's this like, yeah, apple is like definitely the right colour for it, like a real almost like sagey, quite bright green, like mossy green. And I just used like 5 words here, like apple, sage, moss. They're all different greens, but anyway. And I think I'm gonna run out of yarn. So I've got I split it into 2, and I've got a little nugget of one and then a slightly bigger nugget of the other. but I still have the 2 sleeves to do and the ribbing. And so I think I need to rip it back. It's on try-on cords because I was trying it on. And so I'm just going to rip it up to before this last ridged eyelet stripe. Oh, my focus is really struggling today. There we go. And then do the ribbing from there, maybe even slightly further up, like basically going to take it back by about 3 centimeters. And then do my ribbing. And my sleeves are only going to need like 3 or 4 more rows, and then they're going to get picot. And for the picot I only need 1 bit, so I think that'll be completely fine. So all that to say, I need to do a little bit of work on it. I was a little bit worried it would be incredibly short, but actually I laid this version that I'm wearing out and laid this on top of it, and this is already longer. So I was like, oh, that's completely fine. It's not going to be too short. And this one sits at like the top of a skirt or the top of high-waisted jeans, which is perfect for me. So that's where we're at with this one. So I was just thinking like I should get this finished next week sometime, because I keep putting it on and being like, oh, it looks so good, and I want to wear it. So, and it's perfect toasted weather. So I will get this going. Before I move on to my next project, a reminder that 2 reminders, there is a discount code with Woolyknit for their 100% cotton cones, which are the cones I used to make the Tolsta t-shirt. You can 100% get a cone out of 2, like I think all sizes would get a t-shirt out of 1 cone. They're lovely, they're really nice. I mentioned a long time ago on the podcast, like a few months ago, when they said to me, I'm a bit fussy about cotton, summer cotton. I've tried some that I find to be very like densely plied, and I just think it's really stiff fabric and I don't like it. But with this, it's quite loosely plied, and so it makes for a very like breezy, very drapey fabric, which I love. And I was gonna say, I've definitely got, oh yeah, it's dry. It also just goes in the washing machine. My clothes drying rack is sitting right next to me, and whilst this is a tiny bit damp, I just put this in the washing machine with all the rest of my washing, and it's come out absolutely perfect. So it wears super well. I've been wearing this one like non-stop, absolutely non-stop. I wear it like probably twice a week, and it looks great, like absolutely no wear. So yeah, wholeheartedly, it's still a little bit damp, wholeheartedly recommend the yarn. I've been a huge fan of Woolyknit since I started knitting, basically, since I found out they existed. So yeah, you can use the code Tolsta20 on their website. I'll put that link down below. It's not like, they sent me the yarn for the pattern. I don't get any like commission for you buying their yarn or anything, but it is like a collaboration, so I'm in on it. But they sent me the yarn for the Tolsta, and then yeah, like there's no other, like it's not like a commission or anything. I also mentioned before that I think the colours weren't super representative. I'm pretty sure they've updated their colours on the website. So the colours on the website now look much more accurate. And I actually brought one of my cones. I did buy this one actually. I bought this one in the midst of designing all my Tolstas because I wanted 15 versions, and I've still not cast this one on. But this is what the cone comes like. This is I think it's called Crimson Red. So they're all like soft colours in quite a nice way, like not quite pastel, but like you're not getting super brights. And it's a 400 gram cone, and the code is 20% off. If you are knitting from one of the cones, you can use the hashtag #SummerConeAlong on Instagram, and there are going to be 3 prizes. There's a £75 gift card and 2 £25 gift cards that will be drawn from that hashtag at the end of the cone along. So we had a cone along like a year ago. Was it only last year we did the cone along? I think it was. And that was with their British wool, and now we're doing it with the cotton, which is really cool. So yes, hashtag #SummerConeAlong. I keep trying to take pictures of this to post on Instagram, and it for some reason always looks really scruffy. Like I don't know what's happening, so I think it's just gonna have to wait until I'm completely done and it's blocked, and then I will take a picture and share it on Instagram. Until then I'll just share it with just you guys. So we're not quite finished with Tolsta chat. I have one more version to talk about. And then I'll move on to shiny new brand new things. So in here, I took this bag to dog sit. It's actually gone okay. My parents have got a 1-year-old puppy who is a very big dog. He's a Gordon setter, and he's got lots and lots of energy, and he loves to get into my yarn. So I'm really good now at like packing it away. If I leave the room, if I just go to the bathroom, I like pack it away. And so I did, and then I came back and found out he'd taken the entire knit project bag out into the garden. And there are this like muddy bits all over my project bag. Oh, my focus is really just not focusing today. Oh well, it's not really a big deal. I'm just trying to show you some mud. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't see the mud. So when I released the Tolsta, there were lots of people saying, I love this pattern, but I live in a hot climate and like DK weight is just not for me. Is there any chance that you'd add a fingering weight version? And so as soon as those comments started to roll in, I reached out to another lovely Rebecca, who is my tech editor, and was like, hey, can we get working on a fingering weight version? And so that is what I'm currently working on. So I also asked on Instagram what everyone's like favourite summer weight fingering weight yarns are. Every single person basically said knitting for olive cotton merino, which is a super light fingering. It's 250 meters per 50 grams, so like very light. But it was so popular and I already had some in stash that I thought, yeah, why don't I just make, that's a good idea, I'll just make the Tolsta out of that. So I am using the rust colour because that is again the colour I had in stash. It's maybe not the most summery, but I'm using up what I have, so that's good. And it's going to be a fingering weight Tolsta. So there's not very much to show yet. I am working on the yoke. I am not like too far from splitting for sleeves. We're getting there. We're getting there. So again, it's quite like similar to this one. It's quite a drapey fabric, like a relatively airy fabric for fingering. Also just this way it means that you can kind of see me through the yarn a little bit, which is quite cool. It's a light fingering weight yarn, so that gives a little bit of breathing space for people who want to use a more traditional, like a 400 meters per 100 grams instead of 500 meters per 100 grams. And otherwise it is entirely the same. So like all the dimensions, like the sleeve to body ratio, the yoke depth, like all those things are going to be exactly the same. So it will fit exactly the same way as a regular Tolsta will, but with lighter weight yarn. So that's really exciting. And it's just going, like it's taken a little while because it's fingering weight, but it is just plodding along and I'm looking forward to getting to the body and then just having to knit in the round. And then maybe I'll suggest to Sam that we go to the cinema because the place that I get the most in the round plain knitting done is in the cinema. So maybe we'll go to like a movie and I'll get most of the body done in one night. I have used up, like, this is what I'm at with my first ball. I still got a reasonable amount left. I've got 3 balls of it, like this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, and I've got a third. I'm hoping that's going to be enough. I have no idea. I like vaguely based it on the yardage that I used for the, I don't really know why, that's probably a dumb thing to do. But we'll see, worst case, I can just order some more yarn. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think if I get this done, I would like to cast on one in the knitting for olive silk because I think it would be stunning, like super light and drapey, 100% silk t-shirt. That would just be glorious. And you have like a black one that I thought would be really like very wearable and something that would get like a lot of, yeah, it would go with a lot of things in my wardrobe. And I thought if it was in black, it would work even in like winter as like a fancy top. So yeah, so that's where we're at. The pattern is, so it's obviously gone to the tech edit through the tech editor. It will not get tested. I don't have any issues with that, like it doesn't bother me. The formatting of this will literally go like word for word into the previous Tolsta pattern, so all the descriptions will stay the same and the numbers will change. There was not a single issue with any of the numbers for the Tolsta DK weight version, and of course then all the wording has been checked, like the testers see all the wording of the original Tolsta, so I don't foresee any issues in not having it tested. And this way it can get out faster because I know people want to start knitting for summer. It will not be an additional pattern, it's just going to be an update to the current pattern. So if you already bought the DK weight version, I'm just going to, if you want it via Ravelry, you just get an email update. If you bought it via Etsy and to work out how to send an update, because I might just email everyone, not really sure. But yeah, and that way it'll just be another thing to add to the pattern, and all the modification rules will still apply. So if you want to add stripes, if you want to add eyelets, if you want to do whatever, you should be able to do it just as easily on the fingering weight version. The numbers will just be a bit different. So yeah, I already feel now like this is going to be, it's so light, it's so drapey, it's going to be really beautiful. I'm just not great at knitting with fingering weight yarn because I'm quite impatient and I like to see results quite quickly. Okay, I've got 3 more works in progress to show you. If we're going to start with one that didn't go, like it's in its ripping out stage. Ugh. Of course I put everything so far away from me that I can't reach it. So I really want to make, I have a vision in my head of what I want to make. and I'm just trying to execute the vision, and I now have a vision, like I now know what it's going to look like, but I had a bit of a wobble on the way there, and so this is literally like needles are half in, half out. But this is, I'm going to rip it back at least to the ribbing, although to be honest I think the ribbing is also a little bit too tight. Yeah, that ribbing does not go around me. So probably just going to rip out the whole thing and start again. It's going to be another summer t-shirt. I have currently, I'm just going to take this needle out while I'm sitting here. I am currently in absolutely no, like I have no plans to get anything else out this summer over June and July. I am looking forward to like enjoying it, getting ahead of some winter patterns. But what I thought would be cool is like obviously the Tolsta, if you've watched for a while, I knit the Tolsta last summer with no intention of writing it up, and then this summer I came around to writing it up. What I thought would be quite nice is, I still want to be knitting for summer, is to knit up some projects that I can be working on over the winter, and then like they're ready for next summer as well. Like I can, it's fine to have that lead time. Because I currently have designs in the works for September, October, November and December. And actually I already know, like I have something else I want to do that I think keeps getting pushed back because I keep having more urgent ones. So that is probably January, unless something else comes in and bites me in the butt before then, because that's kind of how inspiration works around here. But I thought I would show you, this is Drops Cotton Merino, which I actually really like. It's a bit thicker, it's DK weight, it's not as thin as like the Knitting for All of Cotton Merino, it's definitely more of a DK. This is in the jeans blue colourway, and you can see I started with some eyelets, and that's pretty much all we had. I tried to do a lace repeat and I didn't like it, so I ripped it out. And now I'm just gonna rip out the whole thing. So it's gonna be a bottom up t-shirt. Here's the ball, I'll just start winding as I talk. It's gonna be a bottom up t-shirt with some lace. Lace for summer. How, what's the word? Groundbreaking. Is that the quote from Devil Wears Prada? And I know exactly what I want it to look like, and now I'm excited. I need to find the, like I think I know what lace pattern I'm going to use, but we will see. It's more like an overall aesthetic I have in mind rather than like an actual lace pattern. So I've been like doing some, I've got like swatches saved on my computer of like, oh, it could be this one, it could be this one. And it's quite nice because then there's just like no rush to get it done. And part of me when I started was like, oh, I could finish this by the second week of June, and then I could do a test run, and then I could release in early August. And I was like, Rebecca, chill out, like it does not need to happen, just enjoy it. And it's also quite nice because then you can wear it all summer and validate like it's actually a really wearable pattern that is nice to wear. And yeah, so that's cool. It's ridiculous that I already have next summer plans, but that's okay. And I have another idea for next summer, but we're just gonna let my brain do its thing right now. As I said, I mentioned last time that my inspiration was pretty low, and I'd always planned to not do anything in June and July, and then I would get into like a real like nitty burnout just as the Tolsta was releasing. I had quite a few deadlines, and it was all just feeling like I wasn't that engaged with my knitting. And then yeah, like as soon as there was not like the test for the Tolsta was lovely, the Tolsta was no stress, but as soon as the pattern came out I had another deadline to submit for a magazine, and I suddenly had like nothing on my needles that needed to be knit. It was just up to me, and I had no, like I've got maybe a September pattern release which probably needs to go, oh actually yeah, so probably like start of like by the end of June I should have that pattern written up and like ready for testing, but that's ages away. Like that's like the end of June, it's a whole month still. So as soon as I realised that I had like at that point 6 weeks with nothing to do apart from just enjoy my knitting, that was all I needed to have the floodgates of inspiration open. So okay, I'm going to stop balling this up and I'm going to show you what order should I do it in. Okay, let me talk about the one I'm most excited about, and then I'll show you what I've just cast on. I'm just going to put this here and finish winding it up later. So I last year for the first time got and this project completely was the thing that sparked all my inspiration. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So last year I did an Advent swap, but I didn't get like a hand-dyed Advent over Christmas. And then I got FOMO, and I felt jealous of everybody that had Advents to open. So then Charlotte, who is Nervus Fibre, who was one of my testers and models for my Care sweater and is an amazing local dyer, does like very like moody, earthy, nature inspired colorways, released the SADvent, which was a January advent calendar which ran until the 16th of January, which is I think traditionally, and like I think it's now been debunked, but like that is known as Blue Monday, well, the saddest day of the year. So every day leading up to that day you had to open an advent skein. And the colours were completely beautiful, and then I just had them sitting because I am not a super bright, I'm trying to embrace colour more, but like I don't think I really wear a lot of like, there aren't very many advent patterns that I've seen that I'm like, oh, I definitely would want to knit and make that. Like it just doesn't exist. So that had me kind of sitting, and then I mentioned again last time that the idea of an advent swap is currently, like a bigger advent swap is bubbling away. So I was starting to think about that and thinking, oh, like that is coming up. And then I also had this grand plan to make a quilted, like a quilt inspired blanket. That has just disappeared. Like maybe I'll come back to it, but it is not there right now. But I started swatching. So I thought I'd show you my swatches. I came across a cool pattern, stitch pattern that I really loved. And so I did a bit of swatch. These swatches are so nice. I'm going to pin these up for sure. So this is where I started. I started with 2 colours. I have a lot of Cascade 220 and like things around that gauge. So Filcolana, Peruvian Highland Wool, Cascade 220, Pure Gint, like they're all similar gauge or like thickness of yarn. And so that was what I used. So I started here. Oh, this is where I need my focus to work. Yeah, so I started here, and that was like once, you can see it on the side actually, my garter bumps, that was like individual stripes. And then I was like, this isn't as distinctive as I would like. So then I started putting like bigger stripes in between them. So that is like 4 rows of each colour. And I was like, oh, I started to like this. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that would look like with more colours. So I tried it with a couple of colours, and again, this is with it with just the 2 stripes, and I actually still really like this. I think this is really cool. Come on, come on. There we go. So that is it with the 2 colours. Sorry, with the 3 colours and the 2 rows, and then this is what sold me. Look at that. So that is with like 4 colours. That's a colour repeat over with like 2 stripes of each colour, and this I fell in love with. And as soon as I did this, I was like, yes. This is what I want from life. This is giving me joy. And so I'm doing it as an advent. However, I will say, like, I think this would make it really, like, I think the pattern obviously is just 3 random colour stripes. You could just do 1 colour stripe. I think I might make a navy version, but like I say, this is for December. I know what my pattern releases are going to be for September, October and November, and only one of them is on my needles. And that's the October one. So like part of me is like, this is good, and I want to knit this every single second of the day, but also like chill, it's not going to come out until closer to Christmas. So like I don't need to finish it right now. So let me talk about how I went about it. So I had a lot of Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool in the colour Oatmeal Melange, which is just this, or no, Marzipan Melange, sorry. I love this. This is a great colour. I've used it so much. And then what I did is I took the whole advent, I got this really cool bag full of all the advent minis. Look at this absolute like bag of joy. Isn't that so cool? And so I took all the skeins and then I worked them out into a fade. I was going to show you the fade, but it's on my phone, which is over there. So then I laid them out into a fade and took a picture so that I knew what my fade was going to be. And then I started balling them up. And so what I did is, some of them are such different size. Oh, that's because I've not knit this one yet. I was like, why are these 2 balls so big? I've not started this colour. So then what I did is there is fingering weight, and I don't knit that much with fingering weight yarn, as we've just discussed. So I decided that I would prefer DK. And so what I've done is I'm only using, I took out 2 colours. One I've already knit up into that blanket swatch I showed last time, and it's going to stay there. I might come back to it. And then 1 colour I struggled to get to go to the fade, so I just let it out, which I was fine with. So I'm only using 14 colours. It's going to be probably a little bit tight yardage, maybe. Like I'm weighing as I go. I think I'm going to have exactly the right amount of yarn, which is perfect. That's all I need. But obviously like a full 24 skein, like a 24 mini advent would be completely fine. And then what I would love to do is, if this gets tested, I would like to show the grams used per stripe, per size, like a chart in the pattern so that you can really plan on that. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what I did is I've got this very dinky little scale that I literally just got on Amazon, which I shouldn't support Amazon because it's a bad organisation, but in general, Amazon's. And it's actually really meditative. I would just sit down, take my mini skein. I have a couple that I've not done yet. So this is what my mini skein looks like, and then hand wind it. And then when I got halfway, cut the yarn and bind a second ball. It takes me like 10 minutes. It was really nice. It was a really like relaxing thing to do. And so then I end up with like 2 balls of the same colour These all have amazing names. I cannot remember what the names are. The names are here. For example, this one is called Muckrock. Was that right? No, Morass. And this one is called Downside. And those you can see I'm getting into the green soon, but I'm not there yet. So I've had some amazing colours. We started in a very, I'm going to show you the project in a minute, I promise. We had some like those pinks. Those are really fun. Like pinky oranges. And then we had some like purpley blues. I just finished this colour actually. Those are amazing. So they're all in there ready for their second pass when I come back to that colour again. It's going to have like, the colours will have multiple, the stripes will have, the cardigan, it's a cardigan, will have multiple stripes with the same colour. It's not just going to be one stripe of all. So, are you ready for this? Like Taylor Swift, are you ready for it? Do. Okay. It has turned out to be much more rainbow than I thought it would be from looking at the, like it's a brighter advent than I realised it was. I still love it. But this is where I'm going to fold it over so I can fit it all on screen. I'm so excited. Ah! Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So we started down here and with this like greeny orange and then into a richer orange and then into like a pale and into this dusty pink. And then this one had a lot more pinks in it than it's coming through, I think. But that started fading into like greeny blue. And then we went like yellow blue. And then we went to like a bright green. And then a greeny blue. And then like a light blue. And now we're into the purples. It's bright, but I mean, I love it. I just think it's beautiful. It's been such a joyful way to see the colours grow. And I really love the stitch pattern. I just think it's really fun. And it's really fun to knit the stitch pattern, and it's very, very Moorish because it's only like 4 rows of the colour and then 4 rows of the plain, and then I get to do a new colour again. And it's been so fun. So this is where we're at. It's going to be a drop shoulder cardigan with I think a round neck is what I'm currently leaning towards. So round neck, drop shoulders, absolutely what I love to wear. And I'm super excited. And so yeah, this is the sort of advent version. I definitely think I'm going to do one in like a navy and a white stripe, just to show that it's a bit of a versatile pattern. Because not everyone's crazy about advent. But yeah, I just absolutely love it. I'm so obsessed. I'm making myself slow down and not work on it every second of the day. It's also just a really nice density. Like I keep putting outfits together and being like, oh, that cardigan would go so well with this. So yeah, so I have actually got another. I may also I think I'll write it up into a sweater as well, just because I know some people aren't cardigan people. So I think the pattern will have like a sweater option and a cardigan option. And I may do a sock version if I've got scraps left over, we will see. I also have an advent coming this year from Cascade and Stitch, which is a UK based hand dyer, and it's a Hobbit themed advent calendar. So I'm going to read the Hobbit. It's based on like the locations of the Hobbit, so I'm going to read the Hobbit as I do this. And so I think what I might do is make a second version, or potentially I'll make the sweater version then, we will see. Or I could make it into a blanket. I don't know how I feel about blankets though. I start blankets and I never finish them. Or what I was thinking is I might make it into a shawl, because the reverse side of this is also really cool. Like that is the reverse side. So like it would be cool to have either side on show, and maybe I'll make a shawl. I never wear shawls, but I feel like that would be a good way to display an advent. So yeah, it's just really lovely, and I'm so pleased with it. And I feel like a lot of the time with advent projects or like advent calendars, they're quite expensive, and so you feel like you have to find the perfect project, and this to me feels like the perfect project. So yeah, it does not have a name, it's not got anything else, but it is a pattern in the works, and the current plan is to release it probably like end of November, like right before advent season, with an option to do it like you could do it however you want to, because like that's the one without advent colours, right? That's just like regular colours, so you could do 2 stripe, or you could also just knit the whole thing with texture. But yeah, that is the plan. So joyful. Oh, I'm gonna put my swatches in that bag before I forget them. And much easier with the scale, it's super easy, and it means that I get to knit things at the gauge that I enjoy, rather than trying to force myself through a fingering weight pattern. Cool, so I've got one more design on my needles I just cast on this week, and I'm just being like led by joyfulness and bright colours and what I want to wear. This is also a stripy cardigan. Also drop shoulder, also bottom up. So you can tell my brain's really in one place at the minute. And oh my goodness, it's so cool. It's like I say, it's like just started. So it's funny actually, I ordered the yarn for this and then the yarn came and I was like, oh hell no, those are not the colours that what was I thinking ultimately? I ordered like red, cobalt blue, pink and light blue, and then I couldn't get the layout in a way that didn't look like I was knitting a Union Jack, and I'm not about that. I'm not really a nationalist for the UK, so I felt a bit weird knitting a Union Jack. I don't know, the red, white and blue just felt very, very red, white and blue. So then I was like, okay, let's pause on this. Let's think about the colours I actually want to wear. Let's think about the kind of outfits I'm going to wear this with. Let's think about when I'm going to wear this, like over the summer. What colours are bringing me joy? Again, led by joy. And I was doing some research into like the colours of the season because I thought that'd be really cool. Like I feel like I'm in my cool girl era. I feel like I'm getting cool. I wore a pair of jeans yesterday that were not skinny jeans. I feel like I'm getting cool. So I was thinking like, oh, what colours are fashionable right now? There are a lot of really, really cool colours in right now. I was looking this morning again for like autumn colour palettes actually, because I'm going to make another version of this cardigan. And I was looking at the colour palettes and the colours are things like Astro Red and Galactic Cobalt and Digital Lilac. Like those are the colours and they sound so cool. So all that to say, I've been really into colours and it's out of my comfort zone. For the second version, the next version, I'm like, this is a test run really. I know the yarn I want to use for the final pattern. I know the dyer. I've emailed them. We'll see what happens. And I'm meeting Amy Palco from the Meaningful Stitch podcast for lunch today, and I messaged her this morning and said, I need your help with colours today so I can pick out the colours. But this is just joy colours basically. So all that to also add, the yarn arrived yesterday and I forgot what colours I'd ordered. I was sure that I'd ordered lilac, 100% sure. I opened the bag, there was no lilac. There was cobalt blue, which I didn't think I ordered, and there was no lilac. So we're starting with the two colours. Like I ordered these two colours. So this is like, it's called Sunflower Yellow. It's definitely coming up a bit more orangey yellow, but it is like, it's a rich, like a egg yolky yellow. And then this is the pink. It's called Candy Pink. I think that's pretty accurate. And then the other colours are going to be an orange and a lilac. I don't know where the cobalt blue came from. I'm going to just order an extra skein of cobalt blue and make a Sophie shawl or a Sophie scarf when it gets warm enough to wear those again. So this is the yellow. It's not currently on the needle, so let me put that away. The pink is, and I'm holding it with, again, so this is all Cascade 220. I love Cascade 220. It's great colours, it's well priced, and it's such a joy to work with. Oh, I just dropped into stitch off my needle. Oh no, oh no. Okay, let's just get the loops back on the needle for now. So, oh, my yarn just rolled away. I'm not really using a big enough cable to show this off, but this is one side. I don't know if the other two, no. This is one side. Okay, my rolling out is really bad on this as well. Like a block out, story of my life. And then this is the other side. And then this is the middle where the two sides meet. Come on! Oh my goodness, why is it so slow today? There we go. So it's an intarsia cardigan. I did intarsia for the first time when I was testing out this blanket pattern that I've now dropped. So I mean, it was a useful swatch. I loved it. I loved the intarsia. It was so nice. It was so nice to like switch them over. Yeah, it was a really clean line. I really loved it. And it was not as hard as I thought it would be, which is the same with every type of knitting. Cables look complicated, super easy. Colour work looks super complicated. You're just knitting with a different colour and dropping the strand. Like, of course there's tension issues and cables, you have to keep track of it, but the actual technique is always easier than you expect it will be. And that's exactly what happened here too. Like I was expecting this to be, another one? No. I was expecting this to be really, really hard when I started intarsia, and I was like, this is amazing. Especially this kind of intarsia because you're using the same, like it's one change point. There are only ever 2 balls of yarn attached to your work at any point in time. Like I think there's not a chart. So ultimately what's going to happen is it'll be like a yellow and a white and then a white and a pink and then a yellow and a white and a white and a pink, like interchanging all the way up until the shoulders. And then there's going to be one sleeve. It's going to be purple and white, like lilac and white stripes, and one sleeve is going to be orange and white stripes. It's going to look crazy. I'm so excited. Yeah, I just think it's going to look great. I'm going to look like a walking ice cream lolly, like ice lolly, but it's going to be great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's just been like plaguing in my brain. Like I wanted to wear this cardigan, like I wanted it to exist to wear it, and it's gonna happen, it's gonna exist. So like I say, I only cast this on, I cast the ribbing on like last week sometime because I was gonna use the red, white and blue and then change my mind, but the body I only cast, like I've not been working on it that much. I think it's gonna knit up super fast. It's on 4mm needles. So yeah, I also have another, I think they're going to be two versions in like the same fit, but one is going to be like this and one's going to have a different, like just 2 colours instead of 4 colours. 4 colours? 5 colours. This is going to have 5 colours. There will also be a version with just 2 colours and like a slightly different striping sequence. So none of these things have names, but that's okay. I can come back to the naming part. The naming part's quite fun actually. So for now I'm just at this little checkerboard point, and this is I'm going to take the knitting to meet Amy for lunch, and I'm taking this, even though I should take my Tolsta. I want to take this because it's making me excited. And we're going hiking this weekend, and I'm going to be sad to leave this behind. So that is what I have been working on. That is pretty much everything. The last thing I was going to add is just, yes, I'm going hiking this weekend, and I dug out a skein of sock yarn. So I'm going to take this skein. It's also Nervus fibre. I forgot I was talking so much about Nervus today. It's called Lower. I bought this at the end of the year when there was like a couple of things on for not very much money, or I mean, there was a sale. That is what I'm trying to say. There was a sale, and I bought 3 skeins of a red, and I bought this as well. And it's a 75/25 fingering weight, and I'm gonna put up careful pair of socks. The place we're going to, we're gonna jump straight into life update now. There has been some acquisitions, but all stuff you've seen, so like my 16 colour choices that I keep not deciding on is basically the main one. And I had to order a little bit more Peruvian Highland wool for this, so boring acquisitions. I mean, yarn acquisitions are always fun, but yes, we're going camping. We are going backpacking actually. When we moved back to Scotland, so I used to live in London, and I met my partner Sam. I met him in London as well, and then he got a job that was like the main office for that job was in Edinburgh, and we wanted to move in together, and London was expensive, and it was right after COVID, so the rent prices were going up like crazy, and we're like, we could move back to Edinburgh, and at the time it was a very like temporary thing, like we'll move back and then we'll decide, and then we kind of love it here, so there's that. But when we moved back, we had talked about how we were going to do so much outdoor stuff. We were going to go backpacking all the time. We have not been since we moved to Scotland. We went before we moved up, like we'd come up to Scotland to go backpacking and see my parents, and we have not been since then. So we said this summer we've got no big summer holidays planned, nothing abroad. We've got like some friends coming to stay and things, but we are otherwise staying in Scotland, and we've decided to spend the time doing some backpacking. So I'm really excited. I got a new backpack last week, and last night we set up our tent in the living room to make sure that it's a new tent since the last time we backpacked. So we set it up and make sure it's working the way we want it to work, and we understand how it works. And so we are just doing like a very, very easy intro this weekend. We're going to leave on Saturday, camp out overnight on Saturday, and then walk back on Sunday, just to get the legs going and make sure we're ready. We have a 2-day. We've got a 2-day one planned slightly later in June. So in June we're going to be doing, early June, we've got 2 nights out camping. So this is just like a warm up for that and a bit of practice. And there's probably a trail we could do in one day, but we want to make sure that we practice all our camping stuff and we're ready to go again. So I'm really excited. Last time we did the West Highland Way, which is a big trail. We did it in 2 sections. So we did the first half, which is 3 days, and then the second half, which is another 3 days. And I have never been in so much pain in my entire existence as I was on the morning after our first day. So like the morning of day 2, I woke up and every single muscle in my body hurt. And like I was in so much pain that I had to take painkillers to go to sleep at night because my muscles were so sore. I was incredibly out of shape. I probably am still relatively out of shape, but hopefully not as bad as then. And so I took knitting with me. I took a sock. I did knit, I finished those socks to be fair. But I was not knitting. I was just lying in pain in the evenings. I didn't have brain space to knit. This time I'm going to knit. So it's a 2.5 hour train there and a 2.5 hour train back, so like even then there's going to be some knitting time. And so I'm going to cast on a pair of socks. Like I say, we've got a couple of trips planned, so it doesn't feel like, it feels reasonable to take some socks with me, because I don't finish them now, I'll still finish them at some point. I will likely just make a pair with an afterthought heel, because that's what I like to knit. I don't think they fit me as well, but I like to knit them enough, so I will probably do that. So I'll probably just take a scrap piece of yarn and put in, I think it's technically not an afterthought heel, it's technically a peasant heel, because you put the yarn in, then you pull it out and you don't have to do any cutting. So that's what I'll be doing with this beautiful skein of yarn. So that's going to get cast on. I've not knit socks in. I did knit a pair of socks for Christmas. I dragged myself through finishing them for a gift, and that was the last time I made a pair of socks. So I'm excited. I considered casting on a hat. I'm still considering casting on a hat, to be honest, but I think socks are a good idea. They are smaller and dinkier. Maybe I should take a hat instead. No, I think a hat will get finished. I think a hat will be done in the time frame I'm talking about. I think. Anyway, now I'm just rambling, talking out loud. Otherwise, life update, I'm doing really well. Thank you all for, I was quite, I don't know, last time I was having a bit of a crisis, and I'm probably still having a bit of a crisis, but in a slightly more positive light than I was before. I've been doing really well. I have been still getting out every single day, going for my little walks. I've been going to a gym and doing some strength training, so like lifting weights, and lifting weights is really fun. It is cool. It is nice to feel strong. So I've been doing that like 3 times a week, and that's been really great. And I'm hesitant to say this because I do not have the final official offer in my inbox, but my job hunting is going very well. The day that I was told they were making cuts at my last job, I immediately started looking at new jobs and found a position, and I was reading it and I thought this was written for me. Like, I am the perfect person for this job, and this job is the perfect job for me. And so I actually emailed, or like I messaged the CEO of the company on LinkedIn, and I was like, I've never done this before, but I think you need to consider me for this role, because I think it's the right place for me. And that turned into a first interview, which turned into a second interview, which yesterday turned into a third interview, which they called me up last night and said that so far they've been very impressed, and talked about start dates and exciting things like that. So I feel weird talking about it because like I've not signed a contract or anything, but that is all going very well, and it's a really cool company, and it is a sustainability company, so it is working on things that I care about. Not that I don't, like, I worked for tech companies before where they were just doing things that were like cool but like not necessarily aligned with my passions in life, and so working for a company that's big on sustainability and like helping companies achieve net zero, that's really cool to me. And it's based in Edinburgh, which I think would have been my idea of hell 2 years ago, but now I'm really excited. I will still hopefully be working like mostly from home, but it means there's an office that I could go into like once a week, and I think that there are some other people like my age who work there, so maybe I'll make some friends. So that's exciting. So I don't think I'm going to start for another few weeks after our big hiking trip, but it feels good. It feels really good. And yeah, we're getting some more outdoor time in. The weather is starting to pick up. It's getting brighter, which is lovely. Yesterday was like 18 degrees and sunny, and we went to a pub garden and we sat outside in the garden, had a beer. It was really nice. So lots of good things. I am feeling really positive and really chirpy. I've enjoyed having a bit of time away from working. It's not really felt like holiday. Like, I feel like I've filled my days very readily with things. It's felt busy. I took a trip down to Northumberland just for like an overnight because my dad was there, and I was dog sitting for my mum, and like it's been a lot of like just a lot of knitting and chilling, but like moving other places to knit and chill, so it's felt like I've been doing things. And then obviously like I don't know, I cleared up our wardrobe and all those things. Like, we had friends staying, like, you know, the day, I understand how if you're not working a traditional 9 to 5, the day fills itself up with other things that end up taking up your time, and you don't feel relaxed. You're not like, oh, I've had a day off, they'll be just doing stuff all day. Anyway, I'm completely rambling now. That is all for me. Camping this weekend. I should be back. I don't know if I'll be back next week actually. I don't know. It's probably going to be 2 weeks from now, unless I plan something. An extra video, but I don't have anything extra planned for the moment. Next week I'm hoping to go, it's going to be glorious weather, and my plan is to go and walk part of the Fife coastal path, which is, if you're not a local, there's Edinburgh, there's a sort of inlet that comes all the way in just above Edinburgh, and that's like the coast to us, and that is the Firth of Forth. And then we've got the Forth Road Bridge that goes over to the other side, which is Fife, and there's a big path that goes, like a big walkway, that's like I think it's something like 155 kilometres long or something, and it's called the Fife Coastal Path. And my plan next week is hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday minimum. If I like it, maybe more, maybe I'll go into the weekend, is to try and do sections of that every single day. So get the train out to the place, walk, I don't know, 20 kilometres, get the train home. We'll see. That's my current plan. I just enjoyed that last week, and like I think that'd be nice because I feel like I will at that point have had like a month off by the time I go back to work. It has not felt that way, and so that means like instead of me just like faffing around and not really doing anything with my time, hopefully that will make me feel like I've been spending my time effectively. So yeah, that is all from me. Lots of rambling at the end. Apologies if you weren't up for that. Can you tell that I've not spoken to people for a few days because I've got so much to say. I am going to sign off here. I'm going to go get the video uploaded and get it all into my computer, and then I'm going to go and meet the lovely Amy Palco for some knitting and some lunch and some colour selection. I'm wiggling my eyebrows, I don't know if you can tell. I hope you have a lovely week. I hope that you are enjoying what's going on at life right now. Everything's starting to feel a bit brighter and fresher, and I don't know if that's the weather or if that's just me, but I hope that you are having a good end of the month, a good end of May. And I'll be back in a few weeks' time with some more chat. Oh, I'll have to film the next one in advance because the next one, I'll be camping. I'll be on our backpacking trip. Anyway, I will speak to you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.